What the hell was that? You got an interesting combination here, partner.
I don't know whether
warning
to
you.
Be entertained by what's coming or be a little bit worried.
Probably both. What in the world was that? You see, usually when you look at the Jets' history, usually they just spare us and they just stink. And they don't take us on any sort of an emotional ride. We come into the season, they start 1-5. You look up, they're 2-8. Season's over. We can condition ourselves by Halloween. We're going nowhere. No harm, no foul. We're used to that. That's our lot in life. We're kind of used to that. This is different, Tiki. This was a different ride. I'm going to give them some credit. They were creative this year, the Jets. Oh, they were uniquely creative. The old switcheroo. We're going to actually let you think that we're good. And then when you least expect it, just when you start getting some national love, just when you start talking about, hey, maybe the Jets will be flexed, just when you start talking about, man, this looks sustainable. Jets might be good for 4, 5, 6 years. What do? They dash our hopes and they kill us like they always do. And they kill us this time with a radical implosion, this complete disintegration, another primetime laugher where we are the butt of jokes. Oh, look at the Jets. Only the Jets could draft the kid second overall and bench him 7,000 times and pull in a guy off the street who's a running back and have him play on national TV. Jet fans, I don't know what to tell you. On a serious note, though, and I know there's a lot to unpack from last night. I get that, we will. But I got to tell you, Tiki, for the first time this year, I don't know if the Jets have the right coach.
Now that's interesting because that was my feel as I was watching this game. So for the first time, I'm sitting there watching it. Tracy's sitting there. My two girls are sitting there. Like, who are you rooting for? I'm like, we're rooting for the Jets. It's the Jaguars. We don't care about the Jaguars. We're rooting for the Jets. And they're like, oh,
we'll take a hike.
And then next thing you know, it's like, well, they're playing bad. Right? Oh. Like my 8-year-old is telling me they're playing bad. I'm like, oh, dude. But it made me like stop and being upset about how Zach is playing and just sit back and look at the big picture. And for the first time, I felt sorry for Zach Wilson. Mm-hmm. Like, I really did. Like, I could see it in his face. I could hear it from the crowd. Just the boos audibly coming through the Amazon. It was vicious,
venomous.
Man. Venomous. I'm talking about on incompletions.
Yeah, that's the kind of sound when a guy like Armando Benitez blows his 5th save out of 7, and the 40,000 in Queens shred him.
Yes.
That's what it sounded like. That's rare for a football team.
I stopped being upset that Zach stinks and felt sorry for him. And so it made me really rewind my mind. Where did this go wrong? This went wrong because the New York Jets have failed Zach Wilson, and they brought the wrong quarterback to the New York Jets. And they put him in a bad situation. I started looking about this comparison because of Trevor Lawrence. They kept comparing him. Kirk Herbstreit kept comparing him to Trevor Lawrence.
They stink together. I love Herbie. I love Al. They stink.
Independently, they're fine.
Yep.
Together, they sound terrible. They sound like they're in different rooms.
Can you feign interest?
Al Michaels sounds like he was sleepwalking through the broadcast. Again. It's just, I hate the casual look that they put on TV, like the sweaters, whatever.
Terrible.
I don't like their broadcast, but that's neither here nor there. But they kept comparing Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson on the other side. And so I think about Trevor Lawrence. He stunk last year. I did a couple of his games last year. I was like, dude, this kid is supposed to be whatever.
Yeah.
He's just bad. But then you see him this year with Doug Peterson, and you see the ball coming out quickly. You see the play designs. All right, Evan Ingram, turn around, get a hook, ball's out of Trevor Lawrence's hand. Even though it's well covered by the linebacker and Sauce Gardner on the side, completion, immediately sticks his foot in the ground, gets upfield, 5 extra yards. Like the coaching is so apparent when you watch Trevor Lawrence's ascension. You know who else we saw this with? Josh Allen. when he was coached really well by Brian Daboll up in Buffalo. We also saw it with Tua this season with Mike McDaniel, who turned this supposed bust into a pretty good quarterback. We saw it 5 years ago with Pat Mahomes when Andy Reid took this kid who nobody was paying attention to coming out of college and turned him into an MVP and Super Bowl champion in 3 years. Joe Burrow has Brian Callahan, who's a Gary Kubiak disciple, as his offensive coordinator in Cincinnati. Jalen Hurts with Sirianni. Daniel Jones. We see the huge difference. They got the least amount of turnovers in the NFL. Daniel Jones turns around with another Dayball Kafka situation. And Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's got Joe Lombardi, who was Drew Brees' offensive coordinator. So, I think about the circumstances that Zach Wilson finds himself in relative to these other young-ish quarterbacks who have started to thrive. Zach is in a position to fail because his coaching has let him down. And we talk about this all the time. It matters where you go. Right? Where you get drafted matters. Lamar Jackson is good in Baltimore. Why? Because Greg Roman is his offensive coordinator, and Greg Roman had Colin Kaepernick out in San Francisco, so he knows how to coach this kid to be successful in his unique style. Zach Wilson is not being coached well. And when you hear him talk about it after the game, hey, Zach, what was bothering you out there today? This first response is, I don't know. If you don't know, then you haven't been taught well. Mm-hmm. I feel bad. I feel sorry for Zach Wilson.
I do too. And I feel sorry for me. And I feel sorry for us.
I do feel sorry for you.
I got to tell you, last night, you know my son, Colt. He's a gamer. Yep. He loves ball. He said something to me. It was the saddest thing that he's ever said to me in his life.
Uh-oh.
You know what he said?
What'd he say?
He said that. Now, keep in mind, he fell asleep late third quarter. He stayed up late. His eyes are getting heavy, because Christmas, half a day today. I'm going to let him stay up late, whatever. Deal with it, second grade teacher. Even if there was a final today, he's watching the Jets.
You're playing games today.
He's watching with Daddy, whatever. Anyway, he turns to me, in the second quarter, and he says, Dad, this is boring. Mm. I have never heard him say that about a sport in my life. Now, back to what I said about the coach. Now, there's a chance Robert Saleh can be good. Mm-hmm. There's also a chance that he's not. All right? And it needs to be illuminated here. Back-to-back home games where they were, in essence, playoff games. Last week, the head coach forgot how to call the timeout. This week, his team forgot to get off the bus. Hold on. I'm sorry. They got off the bus from the hotel wearing costumes. Oh, who's that? Is that the Easter Bunny? Oh, that's cute. Oh, who's that? The Grinch? That's cute.
I wish you were joking.
I'm not. Here's a concept. How about you get dressed up as a team that's ready to play hard in front of your fans? Now, that might seem like a little thing, getting dressed up. That should never happen. This is not high school. This is not, game 72 when the Mets or the Yankees or the Marlins or the Pirates have 7 rookies get dressed up in cheerleader outfits. I can't even do that anymore. In cheerleader outfits for rookie hazing. This is a game that you had to win. And you're wearing Easter Bunny costumes? Are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? I heard Bart Scott last night. Went over to SNY, and I believe him. Bart said, I would have ripped it off his body. Mm-hmm. So what I'm doing is I'm calling Sean Payton. And I am pretty sure that Sean Payton wants no part of this. I get it. But I need to make that call. And I need to see if there is a modicum of interest. And if there is, then I'm going to see what the next step could be. I'm making that call. And again, Salva's, he's not trash. He's not Gase. He's not Kotite. But, Tiki, we've talked about this all year. The Jets roster is so good. The Jets are ready to win. Yeah, I don't really disagree. All right? So it's because of that, I don't know that I could take the chance going into year 3 not really knowing. These last couple of games were beyond alarming. The timeout stuff, he's not a rookie coach. It's year 2, and it's deep into year 2. And now he took ownership. I'll give him credit for that. But that should never happen. Is that going to happen to Dayball? Is that going to happen down in Miami? Is that going to happen with the well-coached, elite-coached franchises? The answer is no. The Jets didn't even show up.